The evil one will have his due, and you will pay with your souls.
I assumed he was a Satanist.
He's full-blown possessed.
Sir, are you okay?
This I don't like. I was petrified.
There was an older gentleman sitting there. There should have been no one at the building at that point in time. Hello? As we turned back to question him, the gentleman was gone.
We call upon the evil one to show the light of darkness.
I've never seen anything so terrifying.
All of a sudden, we saw this mist appear. It actually went through him.
It was sucking the life out of me. It just got worse.
Raised by conscientious parents, Michael Nesbitt, a former airman in the U.S. Air Force, prides himself on his rational thinking.
My family has been pretty skeptical and questioning of things that happen and don't happen.
Are you referring to the paranormal?
Most of my life, I grew up not believing in any of this stuff.
And what happened to change your mind?
I took a job as a security guard temporarily in a mental institution.
All Michael knows about his new job is that it opened up because of recent damage at the hospital.
They had a fire there, an electrical fire, and the locks on the doors were electronic, and so they couldn't lock the doors. So they really just needed people to come in and sit and keep quiet and make sure that nobody walked out on their own.
On his first shift, Michael notices something eerie.
It really was right out of a movie.
He makes his way toward the room on the monitor to investigate, passing through a patient hallway.
Each person had like a private room. It wasn't like a big ward or anything like that. There was like a central day room where people would sit and congregate, play cards, and do whatever they wanted to do.
Along the way, he comes across a patient he has been asked to keep a close eye on.
He was a teenage boy. He was very goth, wore all black clothes. He had these drawings in his room, and they were kind of disturbing. Strange scribbles, symbols. I assumed he was a Satanist personally.
With all of the patients accounted for, the burning question for Michael is, who is in the abandoned room?
I put my foot in across the threshold, and as soon as I did, I just had this overwhelming sense and feeling that said no. Everything inside me said, don't go in there.
Michael's rational mind dismisses the oddness as a technical glitch, a byproduct of the electrical damage caused by the recent fire.
The evil one will have his due. You will all pay with your souls. He's coming and your lives are forfeit. You don't understand. He's coming and your lives are forfeit.
I overheard him tell one of the nurses, I'm going to summon demons on Halloween. I'm going to bring Satan in here on Halloween. Look right at her. Just deadpan serious.
Your lives are forfeit.
Halloween is that time of year when paranormal investigators get more ghost reports than at any other time. Sensitives will tell you that there is a thinning of the veil between worlds. As we get closer to All Hallows Eve, it becomes easier for the dead to come across.
You don't get it.
It's okay.
He's coming and his power will be greater than ever.
Hey, it's okay.
Let's just get you back to your room, okay?
Calm down, it's all right.
Come on.
They were very dismissive of him. Oh, well, that's nice, and thanks for telling us. I didn't think anything of it, really. I thought, okay, well, he's just, a typical skater, punk rock, goth kid. Just textbook.
The next day is October 31st, Halloween, and Michael is called into work the night shift. With the teenage patient's bizarre curse still on his mind, Michael notices that there is a large hole in his wall and quickly learns that he's being moved to a padded cell, also known as a quiet room.
I looked up on the monitor, and he was laying in the quiet room on the floor in 4-point restraints.
Hey, Trisha, Ben, why you got that young goth boy tied down in 4 points in the quiet room?
Oh,
He was the biggest disturbance in the whole room. He kicked a hole in the wall.
He's being disrespectful. We had to put him in there.
We had to restrain him.
Earlier in the day, he started getting agitated, and they said he started making noises, and then he kicked a hole in his wall, and he was getting more and more belligerent. They just thought he was dangerous to himself and to others.
All right, I'll keep an eye on it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
He also notices the group of patients that he saw playing cards the day before.
At the same exact time, they're having a seance in the common room.
By the means of the only true God, Satan to rise. We call upon thee by the means of the only true God, Satan to rise.
And they're in there holding hands, trying to talk to dead people and trying to invoke spirits.
Upon the evil one to show the might of darkness. Call upon the evil one to show the might of darkness.
Look, I might not have believed in any of this stuff beforehand, but a seance might not be a great idea.
We call upon the evil one to show the might of darkness.
Especially given what's happening to the goth patient in the quiet room, which is no longer so quiet.
Summon his power!
We call upon the evil one to show the might of darkness. We call upon the evil one to show the might of darkness.
There was this guttural animal-like noise that was coming out of him that was definitely not human.
What's going on?
He's full-blown possessed.
You're kidding, that's not real.
Oh, it's real. And he is.
It's Halloween. And at a psychiatric institution, recently hired security guard Michael Nesbitt experiences strange events that shake up his rational mind and believes that a troublesome teenage patient
The evil one will have his due, and you will pay with your souls.
is possessed by an evil entity.
You're kidding, that's not real.
Oh, it's real. And he is.
I had the nurses tell me, and I heard one doctor tell me unofficially off the record, okay, that there is a fine line between mental illness and possession. And that there are people in there that are probably possessed, but they will never, ever, ever, never tell anybody this officially. But that shook me to my core. I never would have imagined seeing that in my life. I had heard about this being a thing, but I always thought, well, that's not true. That's make-believe. It was not make-believe.
This disturbed young man very vocally, very loudly denounced God and said that he worshipped Satan and that he was going to raise Satan up on Halloween night. No matter what you believe, whether you are a Christian or an atheist or the follower of some other faith or no faith, this opens you up to attention from all kinds of opportunistic entities. And I think that's exactly what happened in this case.
The nursing staff enter the room to ensure the patient doesn't harm himself.
Calm down, relax.
Field 146 Belgrade Drive. Walter Weeds 246 Thompson Parkway.
Who told you that?
He knew their full names. And the staff doesn't give their names to the patients. That's against policy.
He knew not only their name, but their home address.
Yes, he did.
Look, I think we need to get out of here.
Suddenly, Michael is confronted by another patient who is chanting in French.
He's walking around in a circle, just nonstop, chanting something in French. But his family say he never studied French.
One of the factors that a priest will look for when assessing whether a genuine possession is taking place involves assessing whether this person is showing abilities or skills that they do not normally have, and speaking a language that they'd never learned would certainly qualify.
The only thing I could think is that he's praying. Something's bothered him, something's got him really spooked. He's really scared. His face looks completely different. It's like 60-40 him and not him.
But it's not just the boy's face that's grossly transformed.
His throat gets completely distorted. It now looks like there's a football in his throat. I was trying to figure out, how does that happen by itself? You know, obviously he couldn't put anything in his mouth. He's laying down, his hands are tied.
We call upon the evil one to show the might of darkness.
I've never seen anything so terrifying.
Security guard Michael Nesbitt sees terrifying satanic events that cannot be explained.
The might of darkness.
His throat starts to swell up. And it just gets bigger and bigger. If you've ever watched a snake eat, and you see how it swallows a mouse whole, and you see that big mouse go down its throat, it looks like he had swallowed a football.
We call upon the evil one to show the might of darkness.
I'm out of here.
I just said, this is enough. I'm going home. I don't need $7 an hour that badly. And I got up and I walked out the door. I didn't go back. I was done. That was it. It was not safe for me to go in there.
Of all the haunted places I've ever experienced, in the medical field, hands down, the most paranormally active are the old asylums and psychiatric facilities. This is where you had some of society's most vulnerable and disturbed individuals. Many times they were just placed out of sight, out of mind. All of that energy, all of that negativity still remains today. And no wonder such places are haunted. And these kinds of hauntings are almost never friendly or benevolent. They're almost always aggressive and disturbing.
To this day, with everything I have seen and experienced in my life, there's no doubt in my body that this boy was possessed.
What possessed him?
I don't know. I'm assuming some type of entity, definitely negative entity, for sure. Absolutely malevolent. There's just no other explanation to me for what happened, other than this boy invited something in to this hospital and it took over.
We call upon thee by the means of the only true God, Satan, to rise.
Now, whether Satan showed up, I don't know, but something showed up. I was in the presence of pure evil. I'm sure there's lots of hoaxes out there, but there was no hoax in this. I mean, it happened. It was right in front of me, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that.
It's 1997 in a New Jersey small town. Certified nursing assistant Aretta Burkhead begins her first shift at a local seniors residence.
I wanted to be a CNA because I wanted to help people, and that was my goal. My objective was to help people. Helping people gave me a lot of value, and it made me feel good about myself, having a purpose in life.
Aretta notices something strange about the building.
As I was walking up towards the building, I felt like the building itself was literally looking at me as I was walking into the building. It didn't jive with me. There was a scent in the air. I remember that distinctively. It smelled like graveyard dirt.
She enters the building, her feelings of uneasiness following her.
Okay, so this is the main desk, head of the operation. You're gonna come in and check in here every day when you get to work. You can find all of the residents' charts here. You wanna grab this first thing when you show up. You'll wanna do your rounds right away, so we're responsible for checking on their stats every day, see if there's anything that they need in the room.
I kind of detected that one of the ladies who was an older woman, Rosa, I remember getting an odd vibe from her because the way she looked at me.
And then you're gonna do your rounds, check in on everybody, make sure all their stats are okay, blood pressure, things like that.
For the next several hours, Aretta completes her orientation, and by 11 p.m. is ready to begin her overnight shift, alone.
I wanted to have that good feeling like, this is my first shift and I'm going to conquer this and everything is going to be good and positive. But yeah, I felt there was just something very odd about that night. A TV popped on. This was well past 1 o'clock in the morning. There was no one else around. I knew the TV cannot pop on by itself. I wanted it off right away. I wanted to shut it down. I didn't know really where to go from there except for to take a deep breath and get it all back tight and go on with the night because that was my job.
The rest of the night passes without incident. Then, morning arrives.
We start setting up the dining room for the residents between 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning. It was a horrific, horrific cough, like a death rattle cough.
I think somebody's out of the room.
My first thought was someone was out of their room, that they had gotten up and come out of the room. And she thought the same thing. We checked the hallway and we checked everything that was in the area and no one. She literally looked like she had seen a ghost. And she said, "What the was that?" And to me, the cough sounded like it came from the center of the dining room. Let God strike me dead, there was no one in that room. And no rooms even near there where if someone was coughing, you could hear them. We both heard the same exact thing. We both heard the same cough coming from the middle of nowhere in the middle of the room. I had a gut feeling at that point that this probably was going to be a challenge for me to go back into work the next night. I went back into work the next evening for my 11 to 7, and I reported in. Everything seemed okay. I was doing, my rounds, going from room to room to room, making sure that they were sleeping in bed, they weren't wandering around. It was very quiet, and I felt a sense of safety. Everything was as normal as it could be.
As the sun rises and her shift nears its end, all seems quiet until she passes one room in particular.
As I was walking past room 24, I had a pool to look in. I have never seen anything like it.
Sir, are you okay?
This I don't like. I was petrified.
Nursing assistant Aretta Burkhead has experienced events she cannot explain. When she enters room 24 to investigate strange noises from a patient, she comes face to face with something that sends her rational mind spiraling out of control.
Are you okay?
It was a very dark image of a male. Unnaturally dark. I was petrified. It was just gone. Just gone. My adrenaline was through the roof because I knew that I saw something, a apparition, a spirit, or something otherworldly. And I had a feeling of dread. I said a prayer, and I just said, please protect me. God, please protect me.
Aretta puts a brave face on and continues with her shift.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Did something happen?
What makes you think something happened?
Listen, I don't want to overstep my boundaries. But if you had an incident, if something happened, there's something that I can give you.
What are you talking about?
It's a bead you can carry.
She had a blue bead that she gave me. It was like an evil eye.
The evil eye is a symbol found throughout history, and in several different cultures, it's worn as a talisman. It's an all-seeing eye.
What's it supposed to do?
Just keep it with you.
When wearing that evil eye, what you're doing is you're reflecting that energy back to the sender, back to the source. Perhaps any evil, dark, malevolent energies back to the spirit.
I knew she was giving me this evil eye for protection, and I put it in my pocket and made a promise to myself that I would keep that in my pocket on my person when I came to work.
Aretta arrives for her shift the next day, optimistic that the stone might ward off any further encounters with the spirit.
How's it going?
The patient in 24.
When I got back to work, I was told right away that the patient in room 24 had died.
He went into sleep.
Thanks for letting me know.
She now worries if the patient's passing is connected to the frightening apparition she witnessed in his room.
And that was disturbing to me. It made me feel very uncomfortable. And it just got worse.
On her rounds a short time later, she discovers a new patient has already moved in to room 24.
They fill up very fast. There's a waiting list for small facilities like that, small hospitals. I was passing by and there was this incredible pool.
As it did earlier, room 24 seems to call to her.
Because of the things that had happened to me, I had to look in room 24. It looked like it was undulating, like a pixelation almost. It scared the hell out of me. I started to feel an instant paralysis in my total being. Felt it.
Protect me. Please protect me.
Saying a prayer, she fights against the paralyzing energy and moves forward.
God, please protect me.
I have to go in. It's my job to go in the room and make sure a patient is safe.
Please protect me. God, please protect me.
Okay?
This was not his voice. I felt a sickness come through me, and it was like feeling death itself. I did not want to be in there. I did not want to be in the building. I just said, I'm done.
The closet door behind her suddenly opens on its own.
As I was approaching the closet door, I felt like I was going to throw up, literally. It was a feeling of wanting to just vomit everything that was within me. The moment I put my hand on the handle, everything changed. It was like I went into a paralysis. I was observing, but I felt like I couldn't actually move. There was something in it. I can't unsee what I saw, but I can tell you I never want to see it again in my life.
After witnessing terrifying paranormal events,
I felt a sickness come through me, and it was like feeling death itself.
nursing assistant Aretta Burkett
It actually looked like it was undulating.
encounters something that literally paralyzes her.
The moment I put my hand on the handle, everything changed. I was observing, but I felt like I couldn't actually move. What I saw in the closet, it was beyond perception. It was beyond what I could even explain. And that freaked me out. It felt like I was being defibrillated. I felt shocks go through me. It was sucking the life out of me.
This spirit might be pulling Aretta into this closet and for the purpose of completely sapping her energy. You're stuck. You are in a full state of fear. And again, there's a lot of energy being expended with that fear and with that panic, energy that a spirit can feed off of.
I went back to something that my mother taught me when I was a little girl. She taught me to say, "I rebuke you, Satan." Getting out of the room. And that was it for me. I hauled ass down that hallway. I was finished. You couldn't ever pay me enough money to work in anything like that. Anything that haunted, anything that deplorable. This experience has changed my life in a tremendous, tremendous manner. I no longer am a skeptic of anything paranormal related. I do feel a sense of comfort in a way that there is something after this life that we continue, but it does scare me. There's no definitive answer. There's no handbook that says after you take your last breath, you're going to a happy place.
It's 2002 in Pennsylvania coal country. Joe Hawk has just started work as a security guard at a historic hospital.
I was a police officer for 15 years until I got injured in the line of duty in a training accident. I'm currently retired from the police position, and I worked security for one of the local hospitals.
Joe is working the overnight shift with a partner.
As a security officer of the hospital, we do tours, make sure everything was secure. We also were tasked with securing the hospital at night.
Too much coffee or what?
One night, soon after Joe starts the job, a routine shift becomes a disturbing experience.
Dispatch here. You hearing me?
10-4. It's Joe. What's up?
The dispatcher told us that she received a call.
There's a fire in the old file room.
Roger, we're on it.
But there's something strange about this report of a fire.
No alarms or anything were going off.
Ready?
So we unlocked the door, and as we tried to open it up, there was a little bit of resistance. We had to force our way in. The door was kind of almost like if something was up against it.
What the hell?
I don't get it. Smell.
There was a smell of smoke.
It's electrical or something.
If anybody's familiar with a ballast, it's an electrical thing that actually ignites fluorescent lights. It has a distinct odor. That is what we smelled. We cut the power to it, and there was no further incident as far as that goes.
Dispatch, this is Joe.
Go ahead, Joe.
Where'd that call originate from?
Yeah, Joe, I don't recognize the extension. Let me look it up.
10-4.
The extension did come up on her computer.
You're in the file room now, right?
Yeah?
Is there anyone down there with you guys?
No, we're alone.
Joe, that call came from the room you're in right now.
What? Roger, we're on it.
Hospital security guard Joe Hawk and his partner respond to an emergency call from a storage room. But when they arrive, no one is there.
Joe, that call came from the room you're in right now.
What?
It called from an extension that hasn't been used in the hospital for years.
I don't understand.
The phone was untouched, still dust on top of the phone. And not just that, the phone was actually unplugged. It wasn't even inside the extension. My partner and I kind of looked at each other and were totally baffled and taken back by this. It was just an absolute mind-blowing thing to happen.
Dispatch, can you tell me anything about the person that called?
Not much, just that he was male.
She said that a male had called in. After talking to some other individuals in the hospital about that room, we found out that there was one gentleman that was a caretaker for the hospital, that was his office.
They got a phone call that didn't seem to have any sort of natural origin to it. This phone call may actually have originated from the caretaker. It originated from his office, and it's very possible that it was his way of just continuing to care for the building and the people in it.
I thought that was strange, but that was just the beginning. One night I'm working night shift, my partner and I are coming off the elevator. As we turn the corner, there's a seating area.
Did you see something? I don't know, man. I thought I seen something.
There was an older gentleman sitting there with gray hair, like peppered hair. He had a plaid shirt on.
Hello?
There should have been no one at the building at that point in time.
Hello?
As we turned back to question him, the gentleman was gone.
Is anyone there?
I thought I'd seen something, I swear.
The seat itself actually had an indentation as if someone had just gotten up from it. He was there. I mean, he was absolutely, you could make him out, you could see detail on him. At that point, I knew the hospital was haunted.
As the morning arrives, Joe's shift comes to an end. But the strange experiences do not.
The final thing that happened to me at the hospital was one of the most intense things that I've ever experienced. We went outside, we're doing a patrol.
So many jobs a man can have, I don't know what in the world. Hold on. Where is
All of a sudden, we saw this mist appear. It actually went through him to the point where it actually brought him to his knees.
Are you okay, man? Can you breathe?
He didn't even say a word. He looked as though he was gasping for air.
Can you breathe?
He just started crying, and he certainly wasn't noted for that. It was almost like time slowed down.
What was that?
Okay, so what was the mist, and why do you think it chose your partner?
I'm not sure if it chose him or if that was the path. I think the path that the mist came down was the entrance to the old hospital. The hospital's several hundred years old. This hospital was tasked with the fact of taking care of the coal miners. Sometimes the coal miners would get injured so badly or even die that they would bring them to the hospital. A lot of times, they would actually just drop the patients off without even taking them inside the emergency department. So they would actually leave the bodies or the patients outside the doors and just kind of leave them because time was money.
The events that Joe reports throughout his short stay at this hospital seem to reflect something called residual energy, which is a replaying of events in the environment that have happened previously. It could have happened 10 minutes ago, it could have happened 100 years ago, but it seems to be in relation to the time period where the coal miners are actually present at the space.
You look at the history of the hospital, and over the hundreds of years that it's there, coal miners were brought there, whether they had died there, whether they were brought there that they'd already passed. The energy at that hospital is just so great, and my assumption is that's probably what added to a lot of the incidents that happened there. I believe there are things that are just unexplainable, especially in the paranormal field. It's something not to take lightly. When I look back at my time at the hospital, I'm very happy that I had a chance to see something that most people have never experienced. It's an experience I'll never forget. It's an experience that I don't take lightly, and I appreciate my experiences there.